NHADCH 22.5.1 Interlude, The Busy Spring, Alfred POV. It's only a few days before the new year. For the past few days, I worked at Canal's bar from morning until night. The bar had special business hours during the holidays to accommodate the rush of customers until dawn. Because everyone is holding their year-end and farewell parties at this time, there's a continuous stream of groups coming to the pub in the span of 24 hours. The seats never stay unoccupied for long. Canal's bar is popular for the cheap liquor and food. Because of that, work has been so hectic that I'd even welcome help from a cat. At dawn, we close the pub to rest and recharge. Once the clock tower strikes 10, we'll be back to business again. This is becoming a test of endurance, but it can't be helped. For restaurants and bars, now is the best time to make a big profit. After all, there are always more drinking parties being held during the holidays. Also, if we close the store at the usual time, the customers might throw a fuss. Might spout unreasonable things like, "Why are you closing the pub this early? Do you not want to do business?" Fueled by anger, they might even spread some bad rumors about us. Not to mention, if we lose our regular customers, our profits would take a huge hit. We have no choice but to extend the pub's business hours. The pub owner's wife can only sigh and grumble about it. A hired employee like me doesn't have the privilege of taking a break in between working hours while my employer and colleagues run about, seething. Just getting the cold shoulder wouldn't be too bad. But worst case scenario, they could fire me. Yeah, they definitely would. The owner's wife was staring at everyone with bloodshot eyes. Paired with that smile on her face, it's quite disturbing. On the other hand, Leanne seems to be enjoying the holidays. He frequently visited the church and played a lot with the kids. He also read books, took naps, and had tea with Marie. The kids told me about how much fun they had with him, joy evident on the faces. And a few days ago, they had a picnic at the hill behind the church. Marie Sama and Leanne Sama made lots of different sandwiches. The kids had also said there were all sorts of flavors, and they were all very delicious. It seemed like Leanne had done some more activities with them. Walked together hand in hand, hugged them, and even lent him his thigh to act as the pillow. I'm so no. It's great that they had fun. I'm not sulking or anything. I don't mind that they didn't invite me to the picnic, since my part-time job at the pub is swamped during the end of the year. Nor do I mind not being able to rest my head on Leanne's thigh even once. Who am I kidding? The day after that, I meet Leanne by the entrance just as I'm setting off in the morning at my usual time. Commenting that my timing is great, Leanne pulls something wrapped from his bag and hands it to me. I sneak a slight peek inside. Sandwiches. The spread with a nut paste with some bits of bean. I made too much, so I'm sharing it with you, mutters Leanne, cheeks tinged pink. Eat it when you're hungry. In my delight, I subconsciously pull him in for a tight hug. Sure enough, Leanne's face flushes like a tomato. He flies into a rage and whacks my head. Asterisk. Time flies by. Before long, the last Saturday of the year has arrived. My shift at Canal's bar lasts until dawn of the next day. The owner's wife usually lets me out after closing time, even during the holidays, saying that a student's main responsibility is to study. But this time, she asked me to stay until Sunday morning. At around midnight, 3 drunk young men start harassing one of our female staff, telling her to sit beside them while pouring more alcohol into the cups. Immediately after that, they get up on stage to sing, paying no heed to the other customers. When some people ask them to be more courteous to others, they start a fight. The owner's wife and I promptly restrain the 3 and throw them out of the pub. Left with the impression that I've seen them before, I ask them about their identities. In their own words, they're the sons of an apple farmer, a wheat farmer, and a grape farmer in Lay's village. They apparently came to the pub to get together and celebrate the year-end. We let it slide and allow them back in. But not long after, they once again cause trouble. The pub owner's wife just decides to take them back to their homes. And entrusts the task to me. She tells me I can immediately go home afterwards, so after sending these drunk sons to their respective houses, I head back to the church. But I don't walk through the doors straight away. Those 3 young men poured liquor on my head in their drunken states. I didn't plan on entering the church while reeking of alcohol. After Marie hands me my pajamas, I head for the bathroom first. How could those guys waste liquor? It may be cheap, but liquor is still liquor. What a waste. It deserved to be drank, not on the floor. I give myself a quick wash before making my way to my room. And I find Leanne sleeping soundly on my bed. My heart stops for a moment. Why's he here? Have I been missing too much sleep that I've started hallucinating? Or maybe, I somehow fell asleep while standing, and this is a dream. Nope, I'm awake. My mind is clear too. I think, I don't really understand the situation, but for now, I decide to first get into bed. It would get too cold for me to endure standing all night without the warmth of my covers. After Leanne wakes up from my presence, I try to get some answers out of him, but nothing coherent leaves his lips. Looks like he's still half asleep. Leanne probably had himself excused from his responsibilities today, and he decided to stay in the church overnight. He complains when I climb into the bed. But he doesn't kick me out, either. On the contrary, he even scooches over to the edge of the bed to give me some space to lie down. Although this brings me joy, it won't be a lie to say I also felt slightly upset. I don't get it. Are you okay with this? I already told you that I like you. You heard it crystal clear, right? Yet, you allow me to lie in the same bed as you. When you're sleeping and utterly defenseless. Do you really understand what you're doing? I really don't get it. Maybe. No, it can't be. It sounds unlikely, but, does he think I wasn't being serious back then? That my words were just a joke. But I clearly remember his face flushing. I clearly remember him telling me to wait for him a little more. He didn't run away. He even let me kiss him, and kept on holding my hand. No matter how you looked at it, that was a yes, right? He accepted me, right? Well, he still hasn't given me a clear answer, though. Is that a good thing? Is it okay for me to indulge right now, without having to wait for 2 years? I think so. I don't think I'm wrong. So sure of myself, I make a move. And end up infuriating him. I guess it still isn't a good time. However, as I shift closer to Leanne, he doesn't seem averse to it. In fact, he leans even closer. Growing bolder, I pull him into my arms. He doesn't push me away. Well, the fact that he's barely awake probably had a lot to do with it. Maybe it's because my body temperature is higher than average, and he's just seeking heat. I know that Leon's body temperature is colder than most people's. And he gets chilled easily. Sometimes, his hands are cold enough to make me worry. Leanne gradually relaxes in my arms, his breathing growing steady as he falls into a deep slumber. I'm ecstatic. He actually trusts me enough to let his guard down enough to sleep with me. On the other hand, he trusts me too much. I can't break it. I must make sure that I don't unconsciously make a move on him. A sigh escapes my lips. This is going to be a tough night in so many ways. I want to kidnap Leanne and keep him in my bedroom, NHADCH 22.5.2. Before I realized it, the year is over. On the third day of the new year, I have a part-time job at the pub from noon till dawn. There are still a lot of drunkards celebrating the new year with alcohol, even though it was already the first Saturday of the new year. As expected, the bar is in a state of pandemonium. I mean, great success. But at around midnight, some drunk guys from this town and the neighboring one start a brawl in front of the pub. The pub owner's wife says, "You fight all the time, so you should be used to it, right? Go and stop them." What the heck? It's not like I get into fights all the time. And what does she mean by, should be used to it? I haven't been fighting so frequently that I'd get used to it. At least, I don't think so. There are many things in her statement that bother me, but for now, I push it to the back of my mind and stop the fight. The number of people involved is quite a lot, making for a fierce brawl. Even if I attempt to talk things out, they may just ignore me and keep talking with their fists. I also don't know who are in the wrong here, so I just knock them all out. Whenever Leanne stops the kids from fighting, he'll say that both sides are in the wrong in a fight, so they have to be punished together. And I am of the same opinion. In the end, I'm the only one left standing in front of the store, still and silent all around. Although I stop the fight, just like what the pub owner's wife wanted, she hits my head. She scolds me, telling me that I overdid it. Things only get more troublesome when you're here. Go back to the village before the police comes, she says. If it's like this, won't I look like the worst out of all of them? Even though I am the one who stopped the fight. I leave for the village, saddened at being chased away. I'm bothered. Try as I may, I don't understand why she's forcing me home, so it's hard for me to accept it just like that. And so I return to the church in a gloomy state. During the fight outside the bar, someone hit my head with a liquor bottle, shattering the bottle to pieces and soaking me from head to toe. I'm not entering the church like this, so Marie hands me my pajamas first. And off I go to the bathroom. After washing myself, I head straight for my bed since I don't have anything else to do. Leanne is sleeping on my bed again. What is he doing here? Maybe he's waiting for me. No, there's no way he'll do such a thing. Calm down and wake up. Maybe he heard from Marie or the kids that I will be staying at the bar again today, so knowing that my room will be vacant, he stayed in the church. That's the reason Leanne gave me the other day for why he was in my room last time. Didn't you say I can use your room when you're not there? He said, his face red in rage. Because it's cold, I slip into the bed for now. Leanne frowns, but doesn't chase me out. He seems to be half awake. Warm, he mutters before leaning closer to me, snuggling up against my chest. He occasionally rubs his face on my chest like a cat, and breathes in my scent. Then he smiles, loosely clutching my pajamas. It is very, very cute. Whenever I stroke his head, he sighs in comfort, his cheeks flushing slightly. The sight is no less adorable. And rather coquettish too. I can feel my lower body waking up. Unable to endure any further, I'm about to make my move, but of course Leanne wakes up. His face grows red, and his hair puffed up in anger like a cat's. I can ignore his unwillingness and force myself on him, but I know that he will definitely hate me afterward. So I suppress my urges at the last minute. Because once it's gone, this little star will never return. I don't want that to happen. I won't be able to stand it. I'll have to endure this trial all night. What the heck is this? Is he trying to test me? Is this some kind of trial? I probably won't be able to endure Leanne sleeping on my bed for another time, but not long after that, school starts once again. From then on, even when I return to the church earlier than planned, I never find Leanne asleep on my bed again. I don't know whether to be relieved or disappointed. School resumes. My life is back to normal. I thought my days of being worked to death are finally over, but for some reason, I'm still very busy. The cattle in Cheddar's ranch are currently in a birthing boom, overwhelming Cheddar, his wife, and the 2 temporary hires. So they ask me to come and help them if I have time. I have no choice but to help the couple, who already gained dark circles under their eyes. If the couple collapses, the ranch will fall in disarray. With that, I decide to sacrifice my Monday afternoons for Cheddar's ranch, in addition to my usual shift with them on the weekends. The day I usually visit the library. But not being able to go to the library is making me suffer in impatience. The sequel to Detective Silcat, Season 4, should be out soon. I want to borrow it as soon as it's out. The 7th volume of Explorer Gorgon's adventure is also coming soon. Will he win in the deadly battle against the giant bipedal monitoring lizard? And if he wins, how does he do it? I really want to know. I want to secure at least one day for a trip to the library. To dig out some more free time, I decide to adjust my shifts at the construction site, shortening it from 3 days a week after school to 2 days a week. However, when I walk into the office to make the request, the boss scolds me, saying, "Are you trying to kill us?" Apparently, they have 2 consecutive orders for 2 new buildings and 3 store refurbishments. If you're free, go help out now, he says, dragging me to the construction site. Once I caught sight of my seniors and colleagues' soulless eyes and mechanical movements, the words I plan to say get stuck in my throat. I continue to work in such a manner day and night, going home only at midnight. These extremely busy days pass by in no time. When things finally calm down, it is already mid-February, which is when the local school's graduation ceremony will be held. On that day, the skies are clear, not a cloud in sight. After the school principal finishes his tedious monologue, the ceremony is officially over. The moment he steps out of the auditorium, people start to randomly group together in the corners. And at the center of one group is someone with shiny, silver hair. Leanne. Many teary-eyed juniors and classmates surround him. Among them are the trio who always follow Leanne everywhere. Tears and snot run down the faces. When our classmates and juniors ask if they can go meet him or play with him after graduation, he smiles and says, "You can come whenever." His smile is soft and gentle. Recently, I haven't seen his fake smiles often. The ones he forces himself to make to appear strong. Lian seems to have relaxed nowadays. It's occasionally made his soft smile more natural. Does the person himself know what people are saying about his smile? It's soothing, it's the smile of an angel, even though it's just a smile, looking at it makes me happy. Things like that. A lot of people want to see Lian's smile and get his goodwill, so they're desperately trying to appeal themselves in front of him. But he doesn't seem to notice it. After all, Lian is quite oblivious about matters concerning himself. Which is why his friendliness towards me can be considered unusual. The trio and the other students circle Lian, making merry with the faces, rosy in happiness. Lian smiles along with them. For some reason, I'm annoyed. I have half a mind to walk over there right now and get rid of all those people. There's even a junior who asks for a handshake. Lian complies, a slightly troubled expression on his face. Carried away, he prolongs the handshake on purpose. That bastard. Since Lian also looks troubled, the urge to drag him away grows stronger within me. But the place is jam-packed with students. Although I try to push my way through, people just keep coming, blocking my way. I have no way to approach Lian. Moreover, a lot of people are trying to chat me up. I have never been more irritated in my entire life. Frustrated at the enormous crowd, I stare at Lian again, and realize that he has been facing my direction since who knows when. However, when our gazes meet, he narrows his ice-colored eyes in displeasure, frown lines appearing between his brows. Why is that? NHADCH 22.5.3. There's no way for us to talk in this crowded place, so I decide to leave early. I will meet with Lian at the library after this anyway. After graduation, I'm supposed to work at Lian's place on Saturdays and Sundays, as well as during any spare time I have outside of my other part-time jobs. My job includes being Lian's escort, which is why he plans on buying me a sword and armor. And we agreed to do so this afternoon. Since today's the day I allotted to visit the library, I don't have any part-time jobs waiting for me. Perfect timing. Lian says that I should personally go in order to choose a sword and armor that fits my preferences. He also requests that I come faster if possible. I wave at him, signaling my intention to leave first. Lian nods in acknowledgement, but his eyebrows remain furrowed. On my way to the exit, some female classmates and juniors ask me whether we can meet up after graduation. I firmly reject them. It'll be troubling if many people were to come and intrude on the ranch where I live and work. And annoying. One girl, who seems to be their representative, is crying out things like, even if you're together with Lian, our feelings won't change, we won't disturb you, and other sorts of gibberish. You're currently disturbing me, I want to say. But I somehow manage to restrain myself. I just warn them not to visit me because I will be in the Cheddar's care from now on, and I don't want to inconvenience them. Once I reach the library, I grab a book, flipping through the pages as I wait for Lian. He arrives not long after I start reading. He still looks a bit unhappy. Sorry for the wait, Alfred. Let's go now. Shorio is waiting in carriage outside for us. Even while apologizing, he still has those frown lines. I arch a brow. Okay, hey, what is it? What are you angry about? I ask. I'm not angry. Lian retorts, red-faced. No matter how I look at you, you're definitely angry. Did I do something? If I did, I don't remember it. But since there's a possibility that I made him angry without me realizing it, I decided to ask. Why you didn't do anything? It's just that you were surrounded by so many girls earlier. And acting so affectionate with them too. I just find it deplorable. Was I being affectionate? I don't think I was. If anything, I felt irritated at him. Though if you're complaining about that, but you were laughing along with everyone else earlier. He was showing that soft smile that he makes only when he isn't tense. That gentle, genuine, and relaxed smile. Even I've only seen it a few times. Yet he was freely flashing it at everyone. Lian stares at me in puzzlement. What's so wrong about laughing? Isn't that normal? You're right, but, well, he's right, but also wrong. However, I can't seem to find the right words to express what's wrong about it. As I'm pondering over what to say, Lian also looks like words were clogging his throat. Now that I think of it, there's no reason why I am this irritated and angry. Let's just go, I finally say. Okay, Lian sighs and drags me out of the library by the arm. He first takes me to the weapon shop in town. The shopkeeper comes out to welcome us. His hair is as pointed as a drill with a beard to match, a bandana covering his head. He advises us to try out a few weapons. To test which one can make my heart pound. I feel like I understand what that means but also don't. After attempting to wield some weapons and testing the blades on the provided testing pole, I pick up the strongest looking sword. It's about 2/3 my height. Reasonably heavy. I could use this as a makeshift lever if I ever need to do something like lift a carriage with a missing wheel. Or as an axe, since the blade is quite thick. If I'm up against an enemy wearing armor or a monster with tough horns or fangs, I should be able to shatter them with this sword. Its long length means that I can't hang it on my waist, but it won't be an issue if I carry it on my back. Brother, that's the heaviest two-handed sword here. Are you sure you want to take that? Isn't that heavy, Alfred? I test it out and find that I can easily swing it with just one hand. It isn't as heavy as they're making it out to be. Its long handle also pairs well with my large hand. This one seems like it's easy to wield. It's okay. It's light anyway. Light. What an amazing brother. This is the first time I've ever seen a guy swing that sword with only one hand. Haha, yeah, this guy's strength is out of the norm, Leanne says. Leanne tells me to choose a sub-weapon and a dagger as well, so I pick a longsword of moderate length and a thick, sturdy dagger. Then, after choosing my shoulder pads, metal gauntlets, and footwear, we leave the store. It seems that the equipment we bought still has to undergo post-processing, such as imbuing the weapons with protection magic and engraving the Owens family crest on them. Leanne adds that he will contact me once the weapons arrive at the mansion. He sounds strangely tired but also amazed. Our next stop is the soul shop in the town that sells magic tools, where we buy a magic medium to cast magic more easily. The store clerk is wrapped in a black robe, the hood deep enough to hide the face. They have a slender body, but I'm unable to tell whether the male or female. Their appearance reminds me of that woman with the jet black hair. It gives me a slightly weird and unpleasant feeling. The magic medium can come in the shape of a ring or bracelet, and is imbued with the technique to stabilize one's magic and ensure a 100% success rate in casting spells. After a person wears this magic medium, they would more easily manipulate and control their magic power. They can even shorten the casting time. With the more expensive version, one can even activate high-level magic while running. However, it'll most likely cost an arm and a leg. There are 6 attributes: fire, wind, water, thunder, earth, and wood. People usually choose a 1-attribute magic medium in order to train their magic. It costs around 3 months of my salary. There is also an all-in-one version, which has all 6 attributes, but its price is enough for one to enjoy a leisurely life without ever having to work. I have no idea whether the price is actually reasonable or not. In any case, for ordinary people, this is an unnecessary item. If one doesn't have magic power, they won't be able to use it even if they have it. Only people who travel around or have a job involving magic or fighting, like me, will purchase this magic medium. Leanne buys a bracelet with 2 attributes, fire and wind. When I ask him whether it's okay to spend so much money for such things, Leanne replies, "You shouldn't be stingy with essential things like this. Buy it even if it's expensive, because you'll be able to use it for a long time. Remember that you get what you pay for." Sometimes, Leanne says the same things as Marie and the pub owner's wife. After that, we pay a trip to a tailor. It will be beneficial to have clothes that are specially made for this job on the occasion that my clothes get dirty during work or I have to dress up. A man with red glasses comes out to welcome us. He wears a red checkered suit with a blue shirt with a swirl pattern underneath, along with a pair of shiny white shoes. Oh, and his hair is dyed yellow. My eyes hurt just by looking at him. He takes several measurements all across my body. He even measured the length of my toes. Isn't that too much? What's that for anyway? Weirded out, I look at Leanne, but he tells me that this person is the best tailor in town and that I have to endure it. I learn that I am 3 centimeters taller than when I last checked my height, which was during a medical checkup half a year ago. Hearing that, Leanne starts acting unreasonably again. "You don't need those additional centimeters anymore. Give them to me." After calming down, he adds that he also grew 5 millimeters taller compared to when he last measured his height. To which I respond with "That's good then." But for some reason, he punches me after that. It isn't my intention to make fun of him. Moreover, height is something that is out of our control. It's neither of our faults that you aren't getting any taller. NHADCH 22.5.4. It seems like they'll send the tailored clothes to Leon's mansion once they are finished. By the time we leave the tailor shop, the sun is already setting. On our way back to the carriage park beside the store, my nostrils pick up a delicious scent emanating from a stall. Leon notices it as well and makes known his hunger. So we decide to stop by that stall. A stall that sells ordinary toasted sandwiches. It comes with pita bread and we can order as many fillings as we liked. Mine is stuffed with roasted meat, sliced ham, and vegetables, while Leon's is packed full of honey, berries, and beans that taste sweet after cooked. I'm about to laugh out loud at the sight, but somehow manage to fight the urge. Leon surprisingly has a sweet tooth. I already had a feeling that he'll choose that kind of filling. But I just kept it to myself, since he's bound to get angry if I say it out loud. He already purchased so many things for me. Even if they are all for work purposes. That's why I decide to treat him this time. Since Leon says that he wants to buy one for Shurio as well, I ask the stall owner to pack up a sandwich just like mine for takeout. Leon is always generous with his money when it comes to other people. That includes me, Marie, the kids, his other friends, the people of his estate, and so on. Leon also buys 2 small bottles of carbonated fruit juice. Afterward, we sit side by side on a simple bench beside the stall. And we feast. It's been a while since I last bought food from a street stall, Leon mutters, sounding slightly peppy. His expression holds a trace of nostalgia. Really? After all, it's a little weird for me to eat alone, right? I don't really care whether I eat by myself or with people. But it seems like it's embarrassing for Leon. Also, I don't have anyone who I can bring along to eat at this kind of place. Really? How about that trio that's always sticking to you? They don't really eat things from places like this. Ah, I see. Since they are born from a rich family, they may not like these plebeian and cheap items sold at roadside stalls. If you want to eat this again, I can accompany you. Just let me know. Seriously. Yeah. When I nod, Leon subconsciously bows to me in excitement, his face bright with joy. Oh, thank you. He flashes me a bashful smile, as color creeps over his cheeks. Looks like Leon is embarrassed at his actions. This is a face that only I know. A smile that other people shouldn't have seen before. Only for my eyes. I want to touch him so much that I can't stand it anymore. I press my lips against his. His face burns red. What will you do if someone saw us? He scolds. I don't care if other people see us, but I'm sure he'll get even angrier if I say that. So I don't voice out my honest thoughts. After all, there are a lot of people aiming for Leon at school. Both girls and guys, those bastards. In my opinion, that'll just be perfect. Seeing us might make them give up. Because of how that trio deflected all of Leon's suitors like an impregnable iron wall, Leon is still clueless about his own appeal. And probably graduated without realizing it. After finishing our sandwiches, we decide to head back to the carriage to return to the village. We've already finished shopping anyway. Inside the carriage, I tell Leon that I have finished recharging the 25 pieces of medium-sized magic origin stones he gave me. He then replies that the first stop will be the church so that he can take them, as well as send me home. Once we arrive at the church, it is just in time for dinner. Marie and the kids are just heading to the dining room. A smile paints Marie's lips as she says to Leon, I made bean stew today. Won't you eat first before going home? Leon immediately agrees, his face glowing with happiness. He sure likes beans. Afterward, Marie says that she'll prepare another portion for his coachman. Leon tells her that he will call Shurio, and dashes to the gate. I instinctively exchange glances with Marie. People of the upper class usually won't eat together with the coachman or servant. Bearing that in mind, the coachman will try to eat in a place where their master won't see them. Marie probably meant to call Shurio later and bring him his portion to take home. After she meets my eyes, Marie's surprised face gave way to a gentle smile, the tension draining away. Shurio, who has been called by Leon, looks unbelievably fidgety and timid. Moreover, Leon instructs Shurio to sit next to him. Because he can't refuse, he can only comply with a teary face and eat with us. Sweat flows down his flushed face like a waterfall. He seems thankful, but he's shrunken into himself, all stiff and tense. I understand his feelings. I really do. After all, he is currently in a bizarre situation. A lord's son eating with a coachman, who has a lower social status than even an office boy, at the same table is unimaginable. Let alone sitting next to each other. Should I tell Leanne about this? But then again, this is the church where all living beings are equal under the goddess. Leanne laughs. Joy paints his whole being. And Marie is watching him with that constant smile of hers. So I don't say anything. I simply left things as is. Maybe Shorio also has the same thought as us. He shifts his eyes to Leanne, who is stuffing his cheeks with a grin, then towards me and Marie. In the end, even while looking troubled, he manages a smile, stiff it may be. After Marie and I nod at him, he starts to eat without a word. My mind contains pleasant thoughts as I watch Leanne scoop some salad onto a smaller plate, before handing to Shorio. This scene convinces me that I made the right choice. Even though Leanne is a lord's son, the person with technically the highest social status in this room, he surprisingly doesn't discriminate against anyone. He is even willing to get close to them. This counts for Marie, the kids, me, and Shorio. There are times when he tries to conduct himself like a noble. But it is only an image. A front. His actions don't really correspond to those of one. He just doesn't care about his social status. He's a kind person. Too kind, actually. That's one of the reasons why I have this belief. His actions seem to relay that he's forgotten important information about noble etiquette. That he should have learned growing up. He probably doesn't know that if his father ever discovers he sat next to Shorio, Shorio will certainly receive severe punishment. I'm sure he doesn't. But if there's anyone that should be familiar with this kind of noble etiquette, it should be a son of a lord like Leanne, right? Then again, he wouldn't have gone and called Shorio here if he did, right? I don't think this situation isn't anything bad. When I think about a gentle Leanne not caring about social status, I get a warm fuzzy feeling. And it'll be okay since none of us are going to expose this matter anyway. If he gets into trouble because of this, I can just inform Leanne about this at a later date. However, if we're talking about the problem here, it's that Leanne's actions are the proof he's the shooting star from another universe. As spoken by the black-haired woman. The star from a different world. That doesn't revolve. The gentle, little star that the goddess summoned to this world and ended up growing up here. Some of Leanne's actions and words also support her words. Every time I see or hear him getting flustered and uncomfortable, anxiety washes over me. I just want to keep a tight hold on him. I'm not letting him leave my side. Once Shorio finishes his meal, he returns to the carriage. Leanne follows me to my room. Gaze lowered, Leanne counts the stones before putting them into the bag. He heaves a sigh. What's wrong? Is the amount incorrect? And no. There are 25 pieces just like we've agreed. Thank you. He raises his head, his gaze falling upon me. He opens his mouth as if wanting to say something, but eventually closes it. And he once more casts his eyes down. As I stare at him in wait, he lifts his head again, looking like he's prepared himself. When will you move out? Ah, so it's about that. After I pack my things. I don't have anything too large and heavy to carry. I plan to move to Cheddar-san's place this weekend. I see. Leanne's usual confidence isn't present. He seems somewhat frail, uneasy. The way he stands cluelessly is akin to that of a left-behind child. Maybe, he's lonely. Because I won't be in the church anymore. I mock myself for hoping. But if he really does feel this way, I can't help the wave of joy that rushes through me. My thoughts shouldn't be that far off. Hey, Leanne, remember what I told you before? That the only thing that's going to change is where I'm sleeping and nothing else. Why yes. I know that, but. As I watch Leanne stumble over his words in a fluster, I internally sigh. I finally understand what Leanne actually wants to say.